podcast, episode 14. We are back, people.
Woohoo!
Yes, we are here. We are ready to talk about news. We're going to talk about some new releases. We're going to talk about coffee for quite a bit as well.
But first, weekend at Fatty's.
Yes, that was a couple weekends ago, probably by the time we post this, but we made it through. We spent a weekend watching Weekend at Fatty's, which is Fat Mike's party, where he invited a bunch of his friends to play. And there was 5 hours of footage that I watched through.
And you bring up a point of that it was several weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks that it actually happened. Mm-hmm. However, because of the technical problems that happened during it, mm-hmm. I only just watched it right now, and I have a feeling a lot of people missed it, a lot of it, like I would have had I not resorted to different means. So, yeah. I mean, I have an extensive list of what happened if you'd like me to go over it.
Oh, wow. No, yeah. It's of technical problems or?
Briefly about the technical problems. It was, okay, we had to pay $25 because we wanted VIP. And this is what happens when you think you're a badass and you think you're a VIP. That lesson learned. I should have just been a regular person, paid the $15 and got to watch the bands play. It probably would have been fine. No, I got to be VIP and pay an extra $10 for the bonus footage, the behind the scenes. So I paid the bonus money, and guess what happened? Technical difficulties, internet connection problems, website disconnected, and I had to I had to phone for support on a weekend during a NOFX concert, which took 2 hours plus to resolve. Unbelievable for NOFX concert.
I have so much to say. Like, we could do a whole 2-hour episode just about Weekend at Fatty's. We will not, I promise.
So I was trying to keep it short there.
I know. I'm trying. There's so much I want to say, but one of the things was, first they posted that it was going to be live, and then they announced that they've actually already pre-recorded the previous weekend. So then a lot of people started complaining online and saying, well, I don't even want to watch it. This is stupid. I thought it was going to be live. And so then Fat Mike went on to say, well, we can refund you, but it wasn't going to work live. And I was a little bummed. I wasn't one of those people who was super upset, but I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be live. But then when you started having your technical issues, I had a realization. This is why they can't do this live, because if so many people are having this many issues just watching it, imagine how many more issues we would have had if it was actually live.
And we're going to talk about some other reasons why it couldn't have been live, because after watching it, I learned some things that we're going to talk, very important things. But I would like to mention before I move along.
Yes.
I was technical support over the phone for internet problems at one point in my life. So I'm not yelling at the people providing me support. I did that job for a living. I know it sucks. Yeah. I know the customer is frustrated. I know the employee is frustrated. And when you're working technical support, the solution is always reboot or reinstall. And if those things don't work, then you are screwed, and the call's a waste of time at that point. And I knew that, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can move on to the show part now.
Okay, and then while we're talking about all the things that went wrong, there was people on the bill that did not actually play it. So one of the reasons one of our friends really wanted to watch it was Laura Jane Grace was supposed to be there. Was not there.
Nope.
One of the reasons I was excited about it is they said Avenged Sevenfold was going to be there, and they were, but they were watching the show. They did not play.
It was a nice... Hold on. We'll talk more about Avenged Sevenfold as well. But yes, they were in the audience. Nice to see you, M. Shadows, from 2,000 feet away, out in the crowd. Yeah. They did interview Avenged Sevenfold later.
And then that's my next complaint is the people that interviewed the bands. They did a good job with the people they knew who they were, I guess. But I don't think they knew who Avenged Sevenfold was. Fine. But then, I don't know, like Google it a little bit before, like one of the,
They did not. Okay, we'll just go with it. Let's just start. Let's take it from the top. Here we go. Okay. Before the show starts, NOFX is sitting on the couch doing an interview with themselves about how they haven't played the songs on this album, White Trash, Two Eves and a Bean. They haven't played it in forever.
They started to pretend that it was a live, no, that I guess they were recording the interview, and then they kind of, some of them were pretending that the show was going to be live, and some of them were not. Like, they kind of
and they had a cardboard cutout of Hefe on the couch. Sponsored by Liquid Death, just throwing it out there, because, you know, why not throw a free plug out?
Yeah.
Okay, so they do their little interview, and I don't remember exactly the order of things, but I have a pretty good order.
Okay.
The hosts of the show turns out to be two members from the Bomb Pops.
Yes.
Those are the hosts. I don't think they were told in advance that they would end up being the hosts.
That's probably
what happened. I think that they were like, hey, why don't you two go, like, get a camera and go check things out. And they were probably like, okay, Fat Mike is our record label owner. We're not playing on the bill, so this is
They did play at the end, just acoustic, actually.
True.
But that was also, I don't even remember if they were on the bill, but if they were on the bill, that doesn't count when half of your band played. Anyway, but yeah, you're right. They probably just spontaneously asked them to interview all the bands, and it was like, I don't know all these bands, which is, you know, I don't know every band that played there either, or every comedian or whatever.
And so then the Bomb Pops people start walking around the house and doing interviews. They walk into Fat Mike's sex dungeon, start playing with his dildos, and then Fat Mike shows up, and he's like, why don't you call me Grandpa or something like that, and I'm going to put you in a box. And I don't think this was rehearsed in advance, and I don't think those Bomb Pops people knew they were going to be together in their little sex dungeon box, but they went along with it. And then he's like, they're like, okay, we'll go in the box, just don't lock it. And then I was like, this is getting really weird. And that's when I realized this is why the show wasn't live, because there were other things going on at that party that you could not see, and the sex dungeon was one of them, because they showed some of the sex dungeon. They didn't show other parts of the sex dungeon, and they referenced the sex dungeon several times throughout the evening and other activities going on.
Yeah. Originally, I think they changed how you could watch the recording for a couple of days after the show, but what I've read is they changed it. At first, it was in sections, like there was 5 different segments you could watch.
That's what I watched.
And then I heard that they edited it. I forget what they changed on it. So they edited it, and when it was one big thing, it was over 4 hours. It was like 4.5 hours long. So when I watched it, I had to sit there through all the stuff that I don't care about to watch, to see like what's everything that happened.
Oh, well, I watched the segment versions, and the segment versions still had that stuff mixed in.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't think it's ideal. I think this is what you need to do. You need to do live music as like a segment. You can do party and interviews, and then you do the sex dungeon stuff. Like, those are, you know, those are the 3 audiences here. There's people.
They should have agreed. That's what it was advertised as. Concert, then
Comedians.
After party. That was like how it was advertised. Hey, come watch the pre-show, come watch the show, and then come watch the after party.
Yeah.
But it got a lot different. It was strange.
But yeah, there were some comedians that were not as good as others.
Well, hold on. We got a lot to get before then.
I
don't know how we're going to get through this in the next 5 minutes. There's just too much. I didn't even know this, but they do an overview of the house. Fat Mike lives on 2 acres of property in the giant mansion. I had no idea. That house is worth, what, $4 to $5 million probably. It is nice. He's got a tennis court, a basketball court,
a pool,
a cabana, and a house, which I thought were next door neighbors. No, it's different sections of the house. The house is gigantic. Awesome house. Good for him. I just thought I'd mention that.
I really like the house. Well, it was so funny because when he first, I think, bought the house, I read an interview and he was like, yeah, I live with a bunch of roommates because that's the only way I could afford a house in the LA area. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then now that I see his house, I'm like, oh, it's because you bought, like, you didn't just get a house. This is a property, or I don't know what the difference. It's huge.
It's so big, you could go move in and you'd never see him and he wouldn't even know you were living there. It's awesome.
I should do that.
That's what I'm like. If we're in Sherman Oaks, might as well just jump on it. Okay. The next thing I saw was bad cop bassist giving lessons on how to do the WAP dance. Yes. Did you see that?
I did see that.
That bass player from Bad Cop apparently can do anything.
Yeah.
Because she sings, she dances, plays bass, all at the same time.
She can do everything.
And she's pretty ripped. She's got like kind of some muscle. So she's cool.
And she can dance. It's like, what?
And then as a segue for things to come later, they do a lady dressed in leather swinging outside on a tree, just like swinging like a little kid on a tree.
Yes.
And then there's like a lady and a guy, and they're like slapping her butt as she goes back and forth. So they just like slap her butt, as if they were pushing her. Then the show starts. That's where I'm at now.
Okay. I don't think that's the same order I saw it in, but that's okay. But yeah, NOFX played a show. Again,
I did have technical problems, and also after the show, I had to do my own thing to find a way. So
okay.
NOFX plays. They played their album. It was interesting to me for a lot of reasons. I liked it. I thought the sound was great, and this is why I was like, maybe I should have just bought the soundtrack or the live concert portion, because they sounded great.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see, like, for half the songs, they wrote the lyrics on a piece of paper and were looking at them as they played.
Who hasn't done that?
But I mean, like, I can't criticize them. I do the same thing for when we play.
Yep, I've done that, so I can't. Yeah.
I just thought, oh, that's cool. They do the same thing that I do. They do the same thing we do.
Apparently, all the professionals do that. I like it.
And they still sounded good.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit all the notes.
Yeah.
And they told tons of jokes in between their songs. They played for what was it? 45 minutes or less? 30 minutes?
I thought it was 30, but
okay. So short set, which I also like.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that just hates long sets.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I agree with you. The set was enjoyable. It's also just so hard to concentrate, like, to watch shows in the age of pandemic, because you and I, well, we should have mentioned this, but we did a stream with a couple of our friends. So we tried. So you're having technical issues. We're on Zoom. Some of us are on Zoom. Some people's phone died, whatever. It's so hard to watch and like pay attention, but also pay attention to your friends and discuss it. It's like, how did we ever go to shows and talk to our friends and like socialize with them? I don't know. It seems crazy now, like, but it was a really fun way to spend an afternoon with our friends. But yeah,
NOFX to me was the highlight.
They were the highlight, I guess.
Of the entire 5-hour thing. That was the best.
My other piece of feedback is it was weird that they played first, because they were definitely the headliner. So one of our friends, she watched them and then she kind of dropped off, for example. And it's like, there's a reason that the headliners usually go on last.
Yeah, I came on late because of my problems. Right. There was a chat going on, the live chat that they had for all the participants, and everyone was coming on. When's NOFX go on? And then someone said, like, they played 2 hours ago. And these people are like, what?
Yeah.
Which I understand completely, given the scenario, because later on in the evening, Fat Mike is like, I don't know what the term is. He's using nitrous oxide, inhaling it, huffing it, whatever. Yeah. So it's not like he's going to be able to huff nitrous oxide early on in the evening and then go play those songs later. So what they wanted to do is, Fat Mike wants to play first so he can get effed up later and do all the fun stuff he wants to do without having to deal with the show. Smart move.
I guess, that makes sense. But
for him.
For
everyone else,
It's really optimized for him having the best party at his house and not having to do, to worry about stuff. And the rest of us are dealing with technical issues, bands that we were expecting to play that didn't play, and so on.
Yeah, and they even referenced it while they're playing, like, hey, there's the Avenged Sevenfold. Good to see you guys. Sorry about not playing or anything. Like, they make a joke about it, and then they move on.
Yeah, it was like, I thought they were going to play. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. Slightly Stupid was up next. I don't have much to say.
Same.
They're not my thing because they have, like, two sounds. They have, like, their pop-punkish sound, and then they go into their, like, more reggae stuff. Mm-hmm. And at first, they sounded good, so I'll give them that. And they started off with a punk intro, and I was like, oh, I might be into this band, it turns out. I might have, and then it was like the reggae stuff, and I let it play in the background. I didn't
And you
care.
were having your technical issues at that point.
I was talking when I went back.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I listened and did the whole thing, so I was just being like, I was just not caring at that point and eating my goldfish crackers and drinking my Diet Coke or whatever the heck. I was not paying attention too much. On my stream, next up was Bad Cop, Bad Cop.
Highlight of the show.
Who, again, Bad Cop is the band of the quarantine.
You are absolutely right. They are actually doing a stream this coming weekend. I don't know when the podcast goes live, but I've seen them so many times already in quarantine, and every show they steal it. They've been like,
I'm listening to their album all the time. I'm watching them on live streams all the time. They're playing these background shows. They're dancing. They're giving dance lessons on a freaking
You're
live
right.
stream.
By the time, if this is ever over, they'll be our favorite band by the time.
We talk about them every week.
We should have them on.
We're going to have them on. But they are the best band in quarantine.
Yep. Agreed.
I don't even know how they got better. We've seen them before. I was like, they're good. They're fine. I like them.
Same.
This band is awesome.
Yeah, I saw them at like Warped Tour last summer, and I was like, oh, they're cool. And now I'm like, they're so good.
I don't know how any band can be better than Bad Cop, Bad Cop in 2020. They are killing it.
Yep.
And we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, it's like how.
I know they're going to have the album of the year. They're going to have performances of the year, and whatever.
They just there's a brewery that made a collaboration beer with them that just came out this week. So there's an IPA.
I'm sure it's the best beer you've ever had.
Probably the best beer of
at least in 2020.
2020, yeah.
All their songs. I mean, they had a short ass set again. I would have actually preferred a longer set, but they played for like, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't long at all.
I could have gone for, 3 more songs, make it a half an hour, 25 minutes. Nevertheless, every song they played was hella good. They're awesome.
Yep.
Bad Cop, Bad Cop. Then I saw Get Dead, who you discovered this band for me. You brought them up several weeks ago. You said that check them out, and I did, and I'm like, okay, they're all right. And I'm like, wait, I'm going to have to pay attention to this Get Dead band because they got something. And the singer, I'm pretty sure, was effed up, unless that's how he is all the time. I mean, his eyes look bloodshot as hell. He looked sweaty, like he was having a long day. But he was intense, that guy. They interviewed him later, and I'll talk about that too. But I think I like Get Dead.
Yeah.
They are ugly and they are intense.
Nice.
What'd you think of Get Dead?
I don't remember much. At that point, I've had a lot of alcohol. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
They were they like Slightly Stupid. They have like a reggae style part to their punk, but they also do it more like Rancid. And they got like they also have some hip hop, and they even rap a little bit. I mean, they have a lot of stuff, and that normally annoys me.
Influences, yeah.
But I was like, this guy, the way the singer brings it out, he has enough intensity that I'm like, okay, I'm still into it.
Yeah.
And his voice, like, it sounds like he just drank cement or something, like he's swallowing and he's dying at the same. I don't know. For some reason, I found it entertaining and good. So.
Yeah.
And then Fishbone headline.
Yeah.
Fishbone, they've been around forever, and it's just never been my thing. But I got to hand it to them. They sounded great.
Yeah.
And that singer is like 1,000 years old, and he's the best singer.
Right?
Yeah, and it was the singer's birthday. You're right, but he was the best singer all night long. Like, that guy has range. He can do any style of music, and that, like, I swear, when I say any style of music, they played like every style of music. They played like classic rock. They played punk. They played jazz. They play like maritime Delta dance music or whatever the hell. And then they're like a punk rock ska band. Anyway, they were good. It's just not my thing, but they're hella good.
Yeah.
And they've been around forever. And it turns out they're recording a new album with Fat Mike in some manner, because they interviewed him later.
And it seems like they influenced a lot of the bands that were playing there that day too. So like everybody was really into it.
And that was the show.
That was the show.
And then the real show started.
Yeah.
This was the bonus footage, I guess, now we've moved into. So we're in like hour 3.
Yeah. Of our discussion on the podcast? Or
well, we're 20 minutes in on discussion.
Okay.
But this is when the show's over, and now they start more sex dungeon.
Yeah.
And so turns out I don't know if they hired them or they're friends or what the deal was, but there's several sex workers at the party, and they were just showing them doing boob shots of tequila with random people and members of bands and attendees.
Yeah.
That came out of nowhere. Like, I was not expecting it in the slightest.
Right, but it's not out of nowhere. If you've ever seen Fat Mike or know a little bit about him, none of this is surprising that this would be at his party. And he's pretty open about stuff he does. So he's not, I mean, as we've seen from other documentaries and stuff. So even while I was watching some of the stuff he was showing, I'm still like, wow, he is okay with people videotaping him do this.
And that is
I
why
remember that. No, he's definitely like that's.
And then I knew they were lying, and that's when I knew they were lying at the beginning, because I remember at the beginning of the show they were talking about how the camera people were telling them not to do a live show because it was hard to mix a 3-camera shoot with the audio and video and keep it all organized. And I remember mentioning it to you before I had the problems coming, like, that's baloney. I've done that before with blah, blah, blah. And then I see the boobs start coming out, and I'm like, oh, that's the real story, is that there's people doing drugs.
Yeah.
There's people, pegging each other.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff going on at this party that they're not showing, and they might have accidentally shown any of this, and then the people there, their careers could potentially be over. They could get arrested.
That's true.
So, I mean, Fat Mike's sitting there with nitrous oxide. I don't recall that being, something you're allowed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think he also did cocaine before the nitrous, I believe.
He talked about it, and he also talked about weed.
They showed him doing it.
My goodness.
Yeah,
See,
with Melvin. So, yeah. But, so my favorite parts of this experience were at the end, Fat Mike actually walked some people into his closet, into his like cross-dressing closet. And I was like, wait, he has more clothes than I do? I was kind of upset a little bit. I'm not going to lie, because I always feel like I have too much clothes. I have a lot of clothes, blah, blah. I like to buy clothes, blah, blah, blah. And then I see his closet and I'm like, oh, I'm reasonable. Like, he has a closet 4 times my size. And that's just his sexy clothes. That's his like sexy time dress up clothes. That's not even his regular.
Oh my goodness.
And that's like 4 times the size of my closet. And then that was interesting. And then at the very, very end of the party, you can see him. He was hanging out with a couple of dominatrixes who were like beating him and doing things to him. They were kind of cutting things out, so you couldn't really see everything that's going on at all the times. But I was like, man, and I sat there and I watched through the whole thing before the feed expired, and I was like, gosh, I had to watch through so much bad comedy and endless party footage. Some of it was interesting, but a lot of it was not. And then finally I get to the good stuff that I had to sit there and, like, to see Fat Mike's Barbie sweater that's pink and it says Barbie on it.
All right, so we're 25 minutes in. Yep. And you said we just got to the good stuff. So I guess we're just going to have to go with highlights.
Yeah.
What are your final highlights, or what are your next highlights?
Okay.
I got too much stuff.
Out of this, I mean, I think seeing his house and like his dungeon and his closet was just like, it was crazy because it's kind of a fantasy house. Like it would be a Barbie house if Barbie was a punk rocker. Like,
you know, it's funny.
Everything
like,
is fun and cool.
During the whole pegging and all this drug doing and everything that's going on, it's funny because there's still musicians playing music like acoustically. So I could hear Eric Melvin like strumming an acoustic song out in the patio or something.
Yeah.
And then Fat Mike is sitting there getting like smacked around, and and ladies are getting tied up, and there's all. So it's just funny how like you go to this side of the house, you get this show going on. You go to the other side of the house, you got a sex show going on. And you go to this other, you got drug show going on. So yeah, it was wild.
You know what? If I was Fat Mike, I would be so depressed after that party was over.
Yeah, remember why?
Because I feel like when you have something really exciting and then it's over, I'm always like, oh, I'm bummed that it's over.
Oh, that's true.
And what else is he? Maybe he has to plan another one, because if you're just had the craziest party, invited all of your friends, had all this fun, and now you're just sitting at home.
Good point. I totally forgot. This was a party in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
So there's like, I don't know, I'm guessing 100 people.
Yeah.
If not more, including the crew or whatever.
And you would totally forget because
like some of them are wearing,
acting like there was a pandemic going on. There was barely any masks or.
That's what I was about to say. Like, there's people who are just out here partying like there's nothing. Like, yeah, this was not a sanctioned event. Like, you know, we had Death by Stereo come on, and they talked about all the things they did to put on a live concert to make it safe for everyone and have this, you know, a good live show, live stream, and it was going to be a great thing. And like, this was the opposite. I mean, people were wearing masks from time to time, some, but I mean, there were like 100 strangers just hanging out at a pool party. Like, it was.
All I have to say is during it, Fat Mike talked about how he already had COVID, and I'm not surprised.
Okay, so going through, Melvin was playing. They had a comedian named Steph Tolev, one of two comedians. Dave Ross was the other comedian. Yeah. Dave Ross, I think he was out of it when he was it was like he hadn't done stand-up in forever. And
that's
it was
what
like
every
his first
comedian
time.
kept saying, is they're out of practice because they haven't done live shows in so long.
I made a note. He had a good joke about worried about getting a parking ticket during the protest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was a good one.
That was good, yeah.
It was only a 10-minute set, so I was like, that was his joke I liked.
Yeah.
The other lady was Steph Tolev. She had a good joke, I thought, about moving in with her parents during COVID and then borrowing her dad's underwear. Well, I thought that was funny.
Relatable.
They interviewed Fletcher for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Your old buddy.
Yeah.
Let's see. They interviewed Norwood. We talked about that. There was more boob shots. And it was some lady named Dahlia, and it was with the singer of Skinny Puppy. Random. So I was just like, how weird that this Skinny Puppy guy was there. Oh boy, what's BB handheld acoustic family? Oh yeah, Fat Mike was walking around the house in his underwear for a while. That was strange. And then as he walked by, it was during the Bomb Pop. Bomb Pops were playing acoustically. Fat Mike walks by naked. And then the camera follows Fat Mike into another sex dungeon adventure. And then he says, my favorite quote of the whole evening, you know, I pay my dominatrix $300 an hour to hang out with me. It's cheaper than having a girlfriend or a wife. And then I thought, oh, that's hecka funny, because he just broke up with his girlfriend and he got a divorce. And so now he's just pays for a girlfriend now.
I remember that too. And my response to that is, maybe you can date somebody who makes money. I don't know. Boom. Just a thought.
Oh, man. So, well, hey, yeah. I was trying to do the math, but it was daunting. So,
well, you're not paying somebody 24 hours, 300. Like, you probably just pay them to come hang out every couple days for a couple hours or whatever.
Okay.
And even then, like, how much? I don't know. How much are you spending on people you're in relationship with is my next question, because that was my favorite quote too. And I'm like, well, you could, you know. Date somebody who makes their own money.
I mean, you make a good point where he's probably only calls up his dominatrix for a few hours when he feels like it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was thinking,
24 hours.
The house is so humongous. I was like, you'd be so bored living in that giant house with no one, and you just said it's cheaper than having a wife or a girlfriend. He might just pay that person $300 an hour, 24 hours a day.
That would be that's a lot of money. That adds up.
Anyway.
Well, if it's a regular 8-hour week, it would be $12,000.
Oh my goodness!
Right.
Wow.
So
I guess it seems more reasonable. Your version was better than the 24 hours.
Yeah, you just pay when you want company. Maybe a couple thousand a week tops.
Okay, just a couple thousand. Fair.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Oh boy, there was a weird scene where somebody named Jesse has a wife, and Jesse's wife was gonna go peg Fat Mike. Very brief.
Oh.
I don't know who Jesse is, so. But
I think it did happen. I think it was there was like 3 ladies with him in the dungeon at the end of this. I think that was 2 of them are married to each other.
Dang,
that's what I gathered.
See, I missed another good thing.
Oh, I did some independent research a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah.
Fishbone at the piano. They tied up that Jesse's wife.
He also talked to somebody in his closet. He was talking to some ladies, but I wasn't sure who they were. But one of them, he was like, man, your husband has that band, and his band members. And I'm like, whose wife is he talking to? Because I wasn't sure. But I was like, do you really? That was the craziest thing I thought he, recorded was him talking smack about people. But he probably doesn't care. He talks smack about people all the time.
That's true. At that part, he certainly didn't care by that point.
No, yeah, that's true.
There was a dude named Ty. I didn't get his last name, but he played a piano ballad from that Fat Wreck musical.
Yes, or Fat Mike's musical. Yeah.
And that was in the middle. This lady was about to get tied up.
Yes.
And then Fat Mike is like, oh, wait a minute. I got to go catch Ty.
It was so weird because he went.
How rude to be that lady. Like, she's all dressed up and ready to get tied up. And the host of the event goes, oh, got to go watch my friend play. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, I felt the same thing because he was talking to her because they were going to go I think she was one of the ladies in the dungeon at the end of this thing, right? So he was like, oh, you're so sexy. Remember when we took photos together and like da-da-da. He was like talking to her and then he's like, oh, gotta go. It was like, well, I guess she's sexy, but not as sexy as.
Yeah, not as good as Ty.
Yeah, not as good as Ty.
Woof. By that point, Fat Mike was like huffing or whatever. And then there's this guy named Baz from France.
Oh, he's the guy who did their the symphony and the decline, I think.
Oh, okay. So he played the piano, sang a song in French.
Yep.
And then the last thing I saw was a guy named Johnny. He was singing to acoustic and playing the piano as well.
Yep. Okay.
But that was it for me.
Okay. My stream ended with Fat Mike close-ups of him in his dungeon taking his mask off.
Oh, see, I missed that part.
Oh, see,
what happened?
I got a better stream. Well, he got like beat up, and I don't know. They were kind of doing weird zooms, but he was having fun.
Man.
Oh, he was in a cage for a while, I believe.
What?
Yeah, he has a cage. He has like a giant cage. Yeah.
This is what I get.
Yep.
Man.
Oh, and he said he used to be. He used to cross-dress, but now he's a full-on sissy. So that's what I learned from watching this stream.
Man.
So that's where we're at.
It's an expensive lifestyle.
Well, he has that money, I guess.
Well, I guess that's true. So.
Yeah.
Woo! Well, that was the Weekend at Fatty's recap. As far as I know, I don't have anything else on that.
No, it was not what I was expecting. Still interesting, but could be edited better. Is my
especially since it wasn't live.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! But I mean, what are your thoughts? The $25. Do you think yay, nay? You have to think about it, so it's not a
You have
full-on
to think
yay.
about it. I think 15 definitely yay, the regular price. The VIP price, I mean, I'm okay with it because, like you said, if you're gonna be videotaping yourself doing illegal things, I guess you can charge me more for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, I would have preferred to have known it was edited and then have it be more like an episode of their old show, Backstage Passport.
Mm-hmm.
Like, show them play some songs, then go off and show some edited in a good way thing, and have some narration or what. Make it more perfect. If you're going to bother to charge $25 and this VIP baloney, at least that's.
Yeah.
But, I mean, overall, I'm glad I watched it. It gave us something to talk about. We have nothing to do in our lives, so.
My life is empty, so that was something that was.
You know what I'd say? During quarantine, I would buy it again.
Mm-hmm.
Not on quarantine, probably not.
Okay.
So that's like, a half thumb up, half thumb down, I guess you would say.
The other things that are happening is there's a new documentary with Anti-Flag in it, and it is called
Beyond Barricades, the story of Anti-Flag.
Yeah, and that's coming out this weekend, so I'll probably check it out and we can discuss it next time. And
Absolutely,
then
October 3rd.
And then the other thing that we will probably put at the end of this episode is we did a taste test of Fat Wreck coffee versus the Green Day coffee, which is the Oakland coffee. So stay tuned for that if you're interested to see which is the best punk coffee on the market right now.
That's right. Woohoo!
And then there's a couple of new releases we want to talk about really quickly.
Right, War on Women, new song, Wonderful Hell. And I picked this as the song, but I'm more excited about the upcoming album. The whole album is not out yet. So this is just a prelude of things to come. And the War on Women's last album, Capture the Flag, that was probably my favorite album of 2018. That album is amazing. So War on Women, new song, Wonderful Hell, sounds loud, angry, aggressive. It's got some dissonance. It had a slow build. It's probably the opening track on the album or a transitional track because it's like a 2 minute 45 second song. It has about a minute long kind of build up to the intro. So it's really not that long of a song once they actually get to the song. It's a, barn burner. The song's called Wonderful Hell. War on Women is the name of the band. Be on the lookout. Full-length album. We will definitely be talking about it. Yes. Yeah. Once that album is out, I'm going to be talking about it because it's probably my most anticipated album of the year.
Okay.
So that was good. Another one, not necessarily new, but new to me, because we talked about it's allowed to be considered new if it was released during the pandemic.
Yep.
So the band is called The Chats. The song is called Identity Theft. This came out at the end of March, so it's not brand new, but it is still awesome and amazing. It is like an old school lo-fi straight punk rocker. It's interesting. It doesn't have a lot of distortion. It's super clean and just super aggressive. And then I like the Hives come to mind as a clean lo-fi punk band, but it doesn't sound like the Hives.
It reminded me of the Briefs.
Yeah, it's a little raw or a little rougher, and then the Hives are kind of more like a bouncy, joyous style, where this was just like raw, even though like not early Hives compared to like modern Hives. Then I'm like, okay, never mind. And the Briefs, great reference there, so I'll leave it at that. The Chats. Nice. Identity Theft.
And then one I randomly found this week is Billie Joe Armstrong from Green Day has a couple of covers that are available on Spotify and I'm sure other platforms. He did Kids in America, That Thing You Do, I Think We're Alone Now, Manic Monday. So kind of all the songs that you hear in like 80s movies or like teen movies, but they're all like poppy and fun. And I don't know, I really enjoyed a couple of them. They're good like running music if you don't want to listen to pop music, or I guess they're pop music, but if you want to listen to something a little bit more punk or a little bit more rock, then check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely the ones that I heard, power poppy with not a lot of production. It sounds old. It's got like an oldies vibe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like if Billie Joe Armstrong went oldies and was playing, 80s power pop in a punk way.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, this is what that is. And I didn't know why, but hey, it seems to be having fun.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to find something that's not necessarily, not like super popular pop right now, but it's still upbeat and poppy because it's been not a very upbeat year. So
yeah.
Nice. And then do you have a grudge this week?
Real quick.
Yeah.
Man, I broke my refrigerator light bulb.
Oh.
And then replaced it. No problem. Except when I replaced it, I broke a little piece of plastic that covered the light bulb. I thought, no problem. I'll just get this new piece of plastic. It's going to be like $5. $40.
Oh my God.
40. A piece of plastic. Unbelievable. And they got me because I need the stupid piece.
I broke something in my old fridge once, and then the same thing. I was like, "Oh, this is probably gonna be $20." It was like $80, so I was like, "Forget it. I'm not." It was like a drawer.
Get it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, because they got you. It's because the manufacturer can charge you whatever because no one else makes the exact right piece.
Yes. Annoying. I'm mad.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Life is hard.
Grudge.
My grudge this week is people who talk to you when you're wearing headphones. And I know that sometimes the headphones are small, but it doesn't matter. I could be wearing giant headphones, tiny in-ear headphones. People will still talk to you, and it's like, I can't hear you. Do you expect me to like stop, especially during a pandemic when we're supposed to socially distance? I can barely see you or hear you. Why are you talking to me? What do you want?
Knock, knock. Excuse me, miss.
Yeah.
What are you listening to? I'd like to know.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I don't need that. It's
wearing
usually
headphones is the universal signal of I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Especially when I'm on the bus, the light rail, or BART. Don't talk to me. Like, don't even.
Yeah, and then it's a known thing. You don't talk to people if they're wearing headphones unless it's an emergency or something.
They're specifically telling you you do not want to be spoken to. And
I can't even hear if you start talking to me because I have things blasting in my ears.
I assume that people aren't even listening to stuff when they have headphones on, but I assume also that they really just don't want to talk to me. And
maybe some are. Some of them probably do that.
Today we are doing a coffee taste test. And the reason we are doing a coffee taste test is because WRECK Records recently released their own coffee called Daily Grind. And then I was thinking, wait, Green Day also has their own coffee, like entire brand. There's a collection of them called Oakland Coffee. And I thought we should do that. I should get both of them and we should try to see which one is better. And we will invite one of our friends who's here to help us rate the coffees and see who makes the best punk coffee out there. What I've done is I've distributed coffee to the two of you, and you don't know which one is which. I only gave you baggies called coffee number 1, coffee number 2. So it's a blind test for both of you, and I'm the only one who knows which one is which, but I'm going to try to stay neutral.
I'm going to move on to number 1 here.
Okay.
That's my dinosaur.
Yes. Oh, before we start rating the coffees, maybe each one of us should talk about what is their coffee game right now. Do you drink coffee? Do you make your own coffee? How do you brew your coffee?
I drink coffee every morning. I have Folgers Instant, and I normally add a bunch of stevia or Splenda and a bunch of almond milk or lactose-free milk. So today I'm having it plain, which I don't normally do, and that was my control group. This is my Folgers. I'll start with this one.
Also brewed it today. It's just black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drink coffee every day. I do pour over, and I usually add a creamer. I've lately switched to a vegan creamer that I'm trying, but today I just brewed it as black, and I did pour over for both the coffees today. And
I did put a filter in a glass and add water, that version.
Yeah. It's the same as mine, I would say.
Okay. And then I spilled it all over the place, and it took 20 minutes to clean up, and now the coffee is not so warm anymore.
Yeah, my coffee got cold in the meanwhile. And then Hong, do you drink coffee all the time? How do you make coffee? How did you brew these coffees?
I drink coffee pretty much every day, and I use an AeroPress to make the coffee, and I add a little bit of half and half to it.
Nice.
But today it's just plain black cold brew.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all doing it plain black because I thought
that's how you get the flavors.
Yeah, that's how
unencumbered.
You taste test. Exactly. That's what I thought too. Cool. So coffee number 1, impressions. I thought it smelled really good in the bag.
Yeah, it did smell good in the bag. I should have. Yeah, I got the other one. Mine's incredibly light. I don't know about you. Super light.
Do you think you needed to add less or more water or more beans maybe, or?
I don't know. Until I compare it to the next one.
I see.
I won't, because I made them the exact same way. So if the next one is light, that's just because I have too much water or something. But I added 8 ounces of water with 3 small teaspoons, not heaping, but 3 regular.
Yeah. My first impressions is this is kind of coffee I imagine myself drinking at a diner.
Yeah, like the Folgers, it is way stronger in my current test.
Oh, wow. Okay.
By far. But the Folgers has a acid flavor that is super prominent. Like that acid in the Folgers is powerful acid. Whereas coffee number 1, it doesn't have any acid flavor into it. So, I mean, I understand why people don't like Folgers and they give me a hard time about it because, oh, that stuff's not good, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I think it's not good probably because of that acid is what I'm getting at. But since I add so much garbage to it in the morning.
When he says people, he means me. I am people who give me a hard time about drinking Folgers.
No, even at work, they're like, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, so
I felt like
my wife also verifies that coffee number 1 is better than the Folgers as well.
Oh, okay. I do. It feels like a diner.
She says a smoothness like Cabernet Sauvignon.
Whoa.
I think it's too light flavored for me to make that call, but that's what Independent Party says. I
think it was a little more bitter when I first brewed it, and now that it is at room temperature at best, it's actually smoother for me. So
it's very mellow and smooth, green.
Yeah. What about you, Hong? How is it doing as a cold brew? Because now I'm thinking I want to just use this for cold brew later.
Yeah.
It tastes like coffee.
Yeah. It definitely.
Well, when we compare them, then maybe something will stick out.
I'm glad it tastes like coffee. It passed the first test. Like, does it taste like coffee? Cool. Right. Yeah. I feel like the taste is not, it's not anything that jumps out. There's not, those are different things. Like I've tasted different like craft coffees where some of them taste like citrusy or nutty or things like that. Like the really kind of more expensive coffees. This doesn't have that. It has like a pretty basic, non-offensive, like I think anyone can drink it flavor profile.
It's like I don't know, a watered down coffee is almost how I would describe it, but I don't know if that's just because I made it improperly. So I'm going to have number 2 to compare. Here we go, coffee 2.
I'm going to look at the beans because.
Oh, coffee 2 has more of a roasty, a nuttiness.
Oh.
It's also mild. Probably, I guess it's because of the way I made it so mild, but this is definitely more something.
It has more flavor to me. Yeah, and more of a roast. Yeah. Like I taste that. Go ahead, Hong, sorry.
Was coffee 2 the lighter roast? I remember one was lighter and one was darker.
One of them doesn't say what roast it is. So the Oakland brand, they have several different coffees, and so they say which ones are, they have a light, a medium, and a dark, I think. But the fat just has one thing, and there's no details. I don't even think it tells you where the beans are from. Is it single origin? Is it whatever? So it doesn't have any information. So
oh boy,
one of them we have a lot of information on, one of them we do not. But
okay.
so we're talking about coffee number 2. What did you think, Hong? How is it tasting in cold brew version?
There's actually more flavor to this one than the other one. Coffee number 1 just tastes like coffee, but this one has actual flavor to it.
Yeah, I went from 2, and I'm going to 1. Oh yeah, like after you have number 2 and you go back to number 1, it's like, oh, there's nothing here.
Mm. I think.
Oh. God.
Not even comparable.
So I just went from coffee 2 to 1 back to the Folgers, and Folgers is now gross.
I think coffee number 1 is the coffee for you if you just drink coffee to wake up. You don't care about the flavor. You just want to wake up, go to work, or stay awake, whatever. If you're more into, you like certain type of flavors, then coffee 2 might be more yours.
I think I got something to add on to that, because I'm tending to agree. But if you really just want to go to work and you're in a hurry, I'm thinking Folgers is the way to go personally, because it's faster. You just add water. It fits into my lifestyle perfectly. But you are sacrificing a acid washed flavor for a roast coffee flavor. So that's, I guess, the pros and the cons. So my advice would then be for those quick morning people, Folgers Instant with a ton of extras.
Okay, and so do you guys have a favorite, and then I can tell you which one you liked? It sounds
well, hold on. You gave a good description of number 1.
Yeah.
And then I cut you off. Now, give me the long number 2.
It has more of a roasted flavor, I guess. There's more of that, and it definitely has a more unique flavor, I think. It's not the same. It doesn't taste as much of just like diner coffee to me.
Yes. Now I wonder if there's a way to make number 1 stronger by just adding more beans per ounce of liquid. That might make a significant difference.
Right.
To like number 1 more.
Yeah, you can try that.
But I'm thinking all things equal. I like how number 2 has a distinct flavor more so than number 1. So I'm voting number 2. I like it more. Okay. But I will I'll give number 1 credit for being better tasting than the Folgers Instant.
Okay.
For sure. Folgers Instant, sorry, even though it is my favorite, it lost on a on a taste test, independently verified. The Folgers were just not as good.
Not as good. What about you, Hong? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I prefer number 2, just because flavor to it's more interesting to drink.
Yeah, I think I would have to go with that as well. So I'm going to reveal to you which one is which.
Oh, hold on. Can we guess first?
Yeah, you guys should guess. That's a good idea.
Okay, I'm going to guess number 1 is the Fat Records one because it has a cartoony label on it and doesn't say what type of roast it is. So that leads me to believe they don't really care about how it tastes. It's just like, oh, you'll buy anything because it says Fat Records on it, so we don't have to put out our good stuff with it. But number 2, it doesn't even have Green Day's name on it. It just says like Oakland Coffee. And so they're not even trying to promote that this is a Green Day thing. They're probably trying to make good coffee. So that's my guess and why.
What about you, Hong? Do you have a guess?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking number 1 is probably Fat Wreck if there's no information about the coffee and it tastes like coffee. It tastes just like coffee. So that's my yes.
Cool. Oh, and then I should also include one more data point, the price. So the price of Fat Wreck coffee is $14. The price of Oakland coffee is $14.99. So very similar price points. And Oakland coffee is 12 ounces and Fat Wreck coffee is also 12 ounces. So
wow, so they're the same price.
They're almost the same price, 99-cent difference. Okay, and you guys were correct. Coffee number one was Fat Wreck. Coffee number two was Oakland coffee. And this is just one of many coffees they have. I do have one complaint about Oakland coffee. Their bag is compostable, which is great, but it doesn't have anything for you to kind of get the bag, any sort of clip or sticky to get the bag sealed again. So I think that is something they could improve. I think it's missing that longer.
Are those whole beans or are they pre-ground?
So both of them were whole beans, but I believe Oakland coffee also has some ground ones as well.
Okay, but since it's whole beans, it's semi-okay that you can't seal it because the ground beans are the ones that go bad quicker.
That is true. They do go but they do go bad quicker if they are ground.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Oakland coffee. Oh, and I should mention this is the specifically Atomic Garden from Oakland coffee because they have several different ones.
Okay.
So
Atomic Garden.
Yes, and that's their bestseller, or they said it was a crowd favorite, so that's why I picked it. So it seems to be like their most popular one.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then the Fat Records, that was the only one they had.
Yeah, they don't have.
It's just called coffee?
It's called Daily Grind, and there's no information. So Oakland coffee, it said it was medium dark roast, smooth, full flavor, premium blend. It's from Colombia and Honduras. With Fat Wreck coffee, I have no idea. It could be anything. It doesn't say where it's from. Is it multiple blends? What kind of beans? I think this is probably a medium roast-ish. That would be my guess, and that's as far as I can guess.
Yeah.
I do like the packaging of the Fat coffee. It's pretty thick, and it does have a little clip that allows you to, seal it back up after you have a little bit. And I do like the artwork because it is.
Yeah, I mean, if I was just gonna go based on looks, I'd buy the Fat one, no question.
Yeah,
having now drank it though.
Yeah, Oakland coffee. It does look like the kind of coffee you can pick up at a grocery store, which is
it looks boring.
I also spend more money on Fat Wreck coffee because you can only buy it online at their store. So not only did I spend $12 on the coffee, but I think I paid $8 for shipping.
Oh, dude.
So I actually spent more money on the Fat one, whereas Oakland coffee you can buy on Amazon, and so I did not pay for shipping. Well, I
guess that concludes the taste test.
Yes. Oakland coffee winner.
Oakland coffee when Green Day wins again.
Is our episode. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at almostpunk. Send us email at almostpunkpod@gmail.com.